What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome. What is up? Welcome to Matchup Points here, the Week 5 edition at FantasyPoints.com. I'm John Hansen. We got Brett Whitefield and Graham Barfield, a couple of fields, along with yours truly, and Tommy T-Bone on the other side of the glass producing this here live stream. Bye weeks are upon us, guys, so I'm sure you're all doing well. I'm not going to waste any time asking. As we know, even if you weren't, you'd lie. So let's go right to it here. And we start with tonight's football game. And Graham, I will start with you. Does anything jump out here data-wise? We have zone coverage out the yin-yang. I saw your tweet on Chris Godwin, so I guess start there.
Yeah, it was Chris Godwin season. It's been Chris Godwin week every week. It's another good Godwin week here. Falcons are, I wouldn't say struggling against slot receivers, but they're definitely giving up some production. 44% of the targets the Falcons have faced have been through the slot. That's the third highest rate. However, John, I mean, Bucs are just going to be super condensed tonight. Jalen McMillan's out, Trey Palmer's out. So all the targets are just going to flow through Godwin, Evans, and dare I say, the most disgusting tight end play of all time, Cade Rotten. 8 and 9 targets last 2 weeks.
Hey, he won me a game in the Fantasy Points Invitational League last week because I had Trey McBride. I picked up Otten, baby.
There you go. So, but it's going to be all Godwin, Evans, and Otten tonight. I do think the matchup favors Godwin, but you're not taking Evans out of lineups for sure.
Brett, you addressed Kyle Pitts last week. I believe you articulated that. I believe here on this live stream, I'm doing so many things I can't even recall. But what about Bijan Robinson? Do we have any concerns with maybe not the greatest marriage between Bijan and this new offense? Any thoughts there? Algier did out-carry him last week. I know Bijan had the shoulder. Tyler Algier is pretty damn good, though. I will say that. But I'm a little worried about Bijan. Lately, week 1 looked good, but not so much after that.
I'm very concerned, guys. You listen to Raheem Morris's comments when asked about why the running split between Algier and him. He said, well, Tyler's our heavy back. And so I dove into the data and the data suite, and I noticed, well, I don't know what he means by that because Tyler Algier's running the same concept as Bijan from the same personnel groupings and the same formations as Bijan. So I don't know what he means by that. Does he just mean he's a physical runner and he's when they feel like they got to pound the rock, they're going with him? But either way, it's concerning. The fact that they have a heavy back role and it's that demonstrative that he's going to out carry Bijan Robinson in a football game. That should give everyone the creeps, honestly.
Yeah. Well, to your point, I am taking the Algier over the rushing yards prop tonight. I think it's 33.5 yards. Bucs are they're getting run on, allowing the second highest success rate, a very generous 5.1 yards per carry. So, yeah. And then I guess it's over, Graham, for Rachaad White. I mean, he is absolutely hosed because now good luck figuring out when they'll be playing from behind, because if they're playing from behind, you're talking about 5, 6, 7 grabs for White, but man, he's screwed.
Yeah, underrated phrase there. Someone getting hosed. I haven't heard that one in a while. That's a great one, honestly. We need to bring that back.
That's a clean version.
Yeah.
It's a cleaner version. I used to use it on like ESPN.com when I wrote for them 30 freaking years ago. I'm like, I got hosed with that call last week.
Yeah, White is definitely getting hosed. I mean, he's also just not. We've been on this for a couple years. He's just been a middling runner since he came out of college, and yeah, it only took the Bucs 4 weeks, right, to figure out Bucky Irving was the better back. Both these guys are just kind of flex options right now.
Yeah, and then Ray McLeod is my guy tonight.
The special,
yeah, he is a special because his targets per route run jump 124%. I believe against cover 3 or maybe zone in general. Anyway, I don't think we need to spend any more time. Any concerns with Mike Evans? As Graham mentioned, Brett, that target tree is not many branches on the tree tonight, I guess. But he will see AJ Terrell. That's been, I noticed with Mike, some weeks he wins these ones and some weeks he doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's all about how comfortable Baker is, really. Like Mike's pretty much always going to separate. And if he's not separating, he still has the ace in the hole of being just awesome at the catch point, right? So it's really just how comfortable Baker is, and like if it is a Godwin night, it's like they're just going to take the easy play. They're not going to force the ball downfield. I think the days of Baker doing that are probably over because he's playing good football right now. So I agree with Graham here. This is for sure a Godwin night. Even though I'm not too scared of AJ Terrell, I've said that repeatedly, but I do think you just take what the defense gives you, and that's going to be Godwin
for sure. New York Jets against the undefeated Minnesota Vikings. Brett, are the Vikings right now the best team in the NFL? Start with that.
Oof. You're hurting me right now. Man, I would have said that. I would have agreed with you until I saw Sam Darnold play the second half against Green Bay. And all of the things that we've always been nervous about with Sam Darnold came rushing back really quick.
Yeah.
There's 3 or 4 just absolute head-scratcher plays. So I think they're still going to be held back by their quarterback a little bit, but they're a very good.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
In group chat, Brett, this past week, you were like, when is Darnold going to turn back into the old Darnold that we know? And I forgot to reply to you, but I was going to say in January. Right. Yeah, I think he's just playing. He's been playing really well within rhythm and within structure. I'm very interested to see this spot, though. Jets corners are so freaking good. Obviously Jefferson can get off in any matchup, but this is definitely the toughest matchup Darnold's had so far. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like a pretty good schematic matchup for Darnold, shockingly, when I guess, all the zone seems to be a decent chance that he has a solid day, but nothing special because you're throwing against those outside corners. So they're going to try and run the rock with Aaron Jones. It looks phenomenal. So that's that. Brett, I'll get your opinion. I am a Vikings fan. Very familiar with Aaron Rodgers, of course. We had to draft Troy Williamson that year and at like 5 and pass on Rodgers. Well, because we had Culpepper, but it's fair. I kind of like Rodgers to have a solid day here. I mean, maybe I'm crazy. It looks like a good schematic matchup. The corners are good. Everything's good, but I just feel like the savvy Rodgers, you can beat the blitz. I feel like Garrett Wilson will get off in this one.
It's since Rodgers has been a starter in the NFL, it's a cardinal sin to blitz that man. And if you're Brian Flores and you're going to sit there and think you're still going to blitz at 40% of the snaps, then I feel like that sets up well for Rodgers. He's gonna tear you apart one way or another. I don't necessarily love Garrett Wilson though. I think Byron Murphy's playing some pretty good ball. But maybe this sets up for a Breece Hall heavy passing down week, especially against the blitz.
Sure.
Maybe he gets leaky. But yeah, I do agree. I think Rodgers probably deals with that blitz better than most quarterbacks.
Brett, why don't you think this is a Wilson
playing pretty well?
Why don't you think this is a Wilson spot here, Brett?
I think the way Flores will treat it, he'll be rolling coverages that direction. They play a lot of 3-over-2, a lot of bracket type stuff.
Okay.
So even when they're blitzing, they're not leaving that wide receiver 1 on an island 1v1.
Yeah. Nice. I mean, Lazard has outscored Wilson on 10 fewer targets this season. I mean, so if you're right and they do kind of shade towards Wilson, I mean, this could be another good spot for Lazard. Rodgers trusts him. I had the same note on Rodgers. He's been good against the blitz this season too. 3-0 touchdown interception ratio. He's been 7th best in passer rating against the blitz. So
he's playing good ball too.
Yeah, I like Rodgers this week. Yeah.
He's one pass catcher away, I think, from no pun intended with the Devontae Adams rumors. But if they had one more playmaker in that offense, I feel like they would be humming.
Yeah, and apparently they're not running out of 12 personnel at all. So what the hell? Go with 11. I mean, I think they have the offensive line. The protection seems to be okay. Maybe a little Tyler Conklin revenge game.
Yeah,
Graham this week.
Yeah, it is a revenge game. Revenge game for Conklin. Yeah, man. I mean, he's not earning a whole lot of targets, but the matchup's pretty good. Vikings giving up the 5th most points per game, 2nd most schedule adjusted points per game to tight ends. He has earned the targets the last couple weeks, but I think I like him even more hearing Brett's analysis on Garrett.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think I like him even more. I had him as a decent streamer this week, but I think I like him even more now.
He does have a per the Fantasy Points Game Hub, a team best 20% target share on 34 routes against pressure. And he's pretty decent against zone. I guess you probably don't want him against man. And then, Brett, back to you. Like, I mean, do you have anything to say to the Breece Hall people who are a little beside themselves other than Nate Hackett is involved? So, I mean, I don't know. Braylon Allen looks great. I don't get it with Breece, but I'm not selling. You just gotta. I'm telling people to suck it up, just like I tell my kids, suck it up. If you have Breece,
it's tough. It is tough, right? Especially when you see the guy run into a brick wall. 8 times in a row in that last game. So it is tough. But yeah, you got to stick with it. Obviously, he's also so effective in the pass game. That's really. I mean, he is a volume guy, and I know Braylon Allen dipping into that is scary, but I think he'll be fine. I had one more note on Conklin. Sorry.
No,
Minnesota, last 5 games, the second worst schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to tight ends. So definitely Conk Daddy day.
Yeah,
let's go,
Conk Daddy. Let's go, baby. I gotta say, I wonder what that prop is, because I that was one of my top 5 last week. I was sweating it a little bit. I was like, oh, come on.
I think Tom gave out 22.5. I think I saw that in the betting Discord this week.
Yeah. No, but my favorite bet last year was Conklin over 2.5. That was money in the bank.
Yeah. See, I think you got to take the receptions. I think 3.5 is the play with him. Just real quick, note on this game for Vikings side. Obviously Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, probably the best cornerback duo in the league. Jefferson will kind of, he's going to see them a bunch, but he will kind of miss them a little bit. He plays more in the slot, especially with Addison back. Last week, Jefferson was in the slot nearly, I think it was like 40%, nearly 40% of his routes last week. So getting Addison back will kind of, it will kind of, help Jefferson a little bit. And that's where I was going with it too. I think I'm sitting Addison where I have him last week, even though he did look explosive, man. 2 ankle injuries didn't matter. Still looked really good.
It's a shame, man. Wait till they get Hawkinson back. It's a shame McCarthy got hurt. Man, what a buzzkill. Carolina Panthers at Chicago Bears. The Vikings are just setting us up, to your guys' point. They're going to go like 15-2 and set us up. But the fan base will be okay with it because you have JJ McCarthy. Carolina Panthers at Chicago Bears. Brett, any hope for Caleb in this game against a Panther D that's not good? I mean, they don't stop the run well. They have the second lowest pressure rate over expectation. Maybe not a good schematic matchup for DJ Moore, but do you see any hope for Caleb Williams in this matchup?
Yeah. I mean, anytime you're facing a defense that's not going to pressure you as a rookie quarterback, that bodes well, right? I mean, we've seen Caleb, the plays he's made this season have been when he's kept clean, right? So I think there's hope from that regard. The thing that's interesting to me, though, is the Panthers' secondary has been not as bad as I initially thought. They give up some stuff underneath, but really downfield, other than the one long, was it George Pickens? Pickens play. I think they've been pretty solid. I think they rank bottom 10 in 20-yard plays allowed, which is top 10 as far on the good side of that as far as big plays allowed. So they haven't been that leaky, actually. It's kind of surprising me. But I don't know. Caleb's such a big play seeker, that could maybe he turns the tide there. But I just feel like the Panthers have been really, really solid with their communication on the back end.
Okay. And Graham, it's probably hard to find any data points for the passing game for the Bears that make you feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And definitely not feeling warm and fuzzy about really any of these guys. The 2 games that they've had their trio together, DJ Moore's easily led the Bears in routes, easily led them in targets. They play some 12 personnel, obviously, with Kmet and Everett. So Odunze and Allen are kind of splitting, a little bit there. Yeah, and Caleb's just not playing well. Brett, you would know more. This offense is just there's no easy buttons for Caleb. Caleb's not playing that well.
Right. Yeah.
He's bailing clean pockets. He's, kind of doing some stuff in college that we knew he wouldn't be able to get away with. But there are no answers in the middle of the field. Watching that game last week, there were literally no answers in the middle of the field. It's unbelievable watching.
How do we feel about Shane Waldron?
It's all on Waldron.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, bad.
I
didn't like the hiring when they made it. So I'm not surprised that he's struggling here.
Yeah. All right. DJ Moore sees a 20% drop against cover 3. that they run the most in the NFL. Oh boy, it's a DJ Moore revenge game as well. A lot of revenge games. DeAndre Swift, Brett, what the hell happened? Did someone kick him in the butt last week? I mean, he's looking good here on paper again. Is he going to trick us? I mean, week to week guy though, right? I mean, it drives me nuts a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't buy into it. He had a 36-yard run to kind of help that stat line get propped up a little bit. I don't see it. I will say
the catches though.
Yeah, he had some receptions in there. Panthers also aren't very good against the run, so
yeah,
right.
This is another Swift week for sure.
Yeah, this is a good Swift week. I mean, Carolina's just getting killed, nearly 160 scrimmage yards per game. But this goes back to the Waldron thing. Like DeAndre Swift led this team in targets last week with 7. Under no circumstances. And this is not any disrespect to DeAndre Swift. Like I've hated on DeAndre Swift enough. Under no circumstances should Swift lead this team in targets again. That is just unbelievable.
100%.
They have an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver, and you're having a running back lead you in targets. Not great.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Not the greatest schematic matchup, by the way, for our boy Deontay Johnson. I think Xavier Legette could see a little Johnson.
I think Xavier Legette's good at the game. I think
he is good, though. Man.
Yeah. He moves well for guys his size. He gets in and out of his breaks pretty well.
I wouldn't want to get into a fight with that man. His upper body, Brett, is just freaking massive. Well, he was a Senior Bowl guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Senior Bowl performances I've ever seen. Because he was terrible.
That's right.
Terrible on day one,
right?
And then came back and tore it up the next 2 days.
Exactly. 100%. God, that was just this past year. That seemed like I was like 2 years ago. I don't know why. Baltimore, Cincinnati. Brett, I'll go to you. You have thoughts on Cincinnati with, getting a couple of games under the belt with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. So we're going to start seeing more explosive plays to Jamar Chase.
Yeah, this has been one of my big talking points all week on every show I've done, but it's crazy how different Burrow and Zach Taylor look as a play caller when those two guys are on the field together. Jamar Chase 8 weeks 1 and 2 was 6.8. The last 2 weeks, it's up to 11.9. Burrow's 8 has jumped a full yard plus over that span as well. Pretty wild stuff. Burrow also leads the league in passing over the middle of the field and completion percentage over expectation. And the Ravens have allowed the most yards in the league over the intermediate middle part of the field. The Ravens have also given up 33 plays of 15 yards or more in the pass game. 3rd highest yards per reception allowed. They're just getting annihilated. I know they've shuffled the corners a little bit too, but Kyle Hamilton's not really fit to be a primary coverage defender, it appears. Marlon Humphrey's back in the slot, it looks like. So we'll see if they can tighten that up. But, man, I love the opportunity here for Higgins and Chase just to go off again.
Not a lot of pressure, Graham, by that defense on Burrow, though. I mean, the Ravens defense not generating a lot of pressure, so that should help Burrow. On the other side, Graham, it's amazing to me how often I just come up with the answer without knowing the freaking data, because I've been feeling Zay Flowers all week, and apparently here we go. Bengals have been playing a lot of single high, and Flowers' production jumps a ton, 68% against single high. Not a great matchup there for Mark Andrews. Do we even remember what Mark Andrews looks like at this point? But what are your thoughts on Baltimore's answer here to what is probably going to be a good day from the Bengal offense?
Yeah, Flowers a decent buy low. By XFP, he's averaging I think it's a little more than 4 fewer points per game based on his role. So, good matchup. He's already kind of a good buy low. Brett, you've been all over this for 2 back-to-back weeks, and I don't think there's any reason for the Ravens to go away from it. Why would they go away from Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson? 16% run rate over expectation over the last 2 weeks. They've absolutely destroyed Dallas and Buffalo on the ground. I mean, King Henry looks like he's 23 again. And the Bengals have a really bad front. They're giving up over 100 rushing yards in 4 straight games. You watch Lamar and you watch this backfield and kind of the way they're lining up. It's really hard to kind of figure out who has the ball in this backfield. They just do so many Lamar obviously is a one-of-one player, but I mean, he's playing an extremely high level in the run game right now. And it's really hard to defend this attack right now. Yeah. I think Monken, ironically has gone from I think he was a pretty good pass game coordinator. He's gone from a really good pass game coordinator to kind of questionable on that aspect, in my opinion, to an amazing run game coordinator. This run game is awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And they're going to truck Cincinnati again.
Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, you're right, Graham. And the thing is it's just getting back to the basics. And not to get overly nerdy and schematic here, but the baseline of what Monken used to do is power and counter and all these pulling blockers. Derrick Henry's not a start-stop kind of guy. He's straight line speed, acceleration, getting on the edge. And they've just gone to outside zone and duo. And they just pounded the crap out of who they just play. My gosh.
Buffalo.
Out of with duo runs. And they had one trap in there too. Cincinnati, by the way, allows a 57% success rate against them when duo is the play call. So I think they're just lining up to do the exact same thing to Cincy as they did against the Bills. So totally agree here. King Henry again.
It's pretty weird that he's doing this really in September, because back in his prime, he was not doing crap in September, basically, compared to what he did in November, December. So if he's able, and he is like a dinosaur, this guy, like he is a throwback. If he's able to play every damn game, he's running for over 2,000 yards this year.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of what we thought, right? Like Lamar holds the edge when they do play their kind of, zone stuff, and, Henry just gets downhill as fast as possible. It's a lot to defend in this backfield. And Lamar, to my eye, is fully back in terms of his speed. I mean, he's averaging nearly 80 rushing yards per game. That's as many rushing yards per game as he had when he won his first MVP back, 5 years ago? I mean,
he dropped a lot of weight, I believe.
Yeah, he's a little skinnier, but the acceleration is just fully back. This game is awesome. I think this game goes to the moon. Brett made all the points about the Ravens secondary and this defense, but this game there's a couple games with really good shootout appeal this week, and this is certainly one of them.
And that's why I'm talking Flowers, because if they're playing a crappy team, I'm like, we can't play Flowers. Basically.
Well, we need Bengals to get a lead and push if we're going to get some Ravens pass game, because if Baltimore gets a lead, they're going to just slam.
I know.
25 times.
Yeah, no question. Buffalo, speaking of them, they got their asses handed to them by Henry and the Ravens last week. They're at Houston. And you know what? I kind of think this is a tough spot for the Bills. No Joe Mixon, probably not going to play again. No Damian Pierce, probably not going to play again. I'll go to you, Brett. I kind of like Stroud here. I mean, he's Mr. Zone, right? I mean, this would be a week for Stroud. I'm feeling a Stroud game and a little Stephon Diggs revenge game. And dare I say, Graham brought him up last week. He definitely was a little bit more involved, Dalton Schultz, but mainly Steph Diggs. What are your thoughts here on Houston?
Yeah, I mean, Stroud is the zone annihilator, right? He's in that Jared Goff Tua mold where they just tear up, the middle part of the field against zone. The problem is the Bills probably have one of the best, tightest secondaries in the league. Their corners are outstanding, and Benford and Russell Douglas. They don't give up any big plays. They're like, I think, top 3 in the league in big plays allowed. And so what you see deep teams have to do this dink and dunk kind of thing against them. And I don't know. Here's the thing:
that's Diggs.
That's Diggs. That's Diggs, right? And Nico Collins is pretty matchup proof at this point. I mean, he's an absolute monster. He's a stud. Complete receiver in every way. There's no corner, I think, that threatens him really. He's just awesome. So I think we're at the point where almost every game's a Stroud game, right? But I feel good about it. I would say that when you see what just happened to that run defense, you kind of want to lean into that. And Bobby Slowick is a run game guy first and foremost. So I would imagine they try to dial up some duo and some outside zone to get that moving. But
I always worry when a team gets embarrassed on national TV that it's like Mike Zimmer last week. He's like, you know what? I don't give a crap if Malik Neighbors catches 40 freaking balls. We're not getting run on this week. Yep. I do worry about that, because that's a thing. When you get run over, you get freaking chewed out all week, and it's a point of emphasis and all that. Graham, where are we at with the Bills receiving core? Dalton Kincaid, he's all right, but, our guy Shakir's okay, a little banged up this week, but, do you trust anyone other than Shakir?
Yeah, we'll have to see on Shakir, man. It doesn't look good right now. Didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. So if he misses, basically the way I wrote it up is like it's a huge boost for Kincaid. Just middle of the field kind of gets opened up. We might actually see Curtis Samuel involved in the offense for once this season. I it's tricky, right? Because like Houston is once again playing really good run defense. I would love to like go all in on this Bills passing offense. It's tricky. I think I will end up high on Kincaid. And just real quick, my note on the Bills side basically is like lockstep with you guys on Diggs. Bills obviously playing a ton of too high, and we kind of see this in our data. Brett was saying they just force everything to the middle of the field. 41% of the targets the Bills have faced have gone to slot receivers, and with Tank Dell back this week, Diggs is going to be back in his normal role in the slot. So, it's a revenge game. You get the revenge game narrative, but it really is schematically like this is the best spot Diggs has maybe had this season.
Is Tank Dell a buy low? I mean, geez, it's got to be.
I think so. Not only is he good, he's still a good separator, but he has massive contingent value. Like if Collins or Diggs mix extended time, like we're all going to be wanting to play Tank Dell.
True. Indy Colts at Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know if we're all going to be wanting to play Mike Pittman, although AR hit him before he got hurt for a big play early in the game. I was like, oh wow. But man, my guy Josh Downs is available. He wins quickly and gets open, and you need that, middle of the field. He's going to cannibalize Pittman, I think. Brett, any thoughts on what the hell we do with Anthony Richardson? They do play a lot of man, but schematically, I guess the numbers don't look wonderful. But I'm kind of feeling an Alec Pierce big play this week. What do we do with Richardson and the Colts, who probably won't have Jonathan Taylor as well? I picked Jacksonville to win this game, by the way.
Oh gosh.
Just one quick note on Jacksonville. They hard pivoted away from that man coverage last week. They went full on zone. I think 80% of snaps. It was a massive deviation.
All right.
We had seen the first 3 weeks. Is AR for sure playing? Because that's kind of what I've been waiting on to hear.
I think so. And Brett, do you think they switched from man to zone last week just because they knew they were going to get destroyed if they played man against Collins? Do you think that's still like their scheme, or do you actually think they're going to pivot towards zone and do what they should do?
That's a great question. I don't. Yeah. I would assume that because they'd gotten slaughtered multiple times playing man, that they pivoted towards zone. So I would. It seems like, especially as long as they don't have Tyson Campbell on the field, that they should be pivoting more towards zone. But with that said, all of these guys can beat man. Whether it's Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, or Josh Downs, and even Adonai Mitchell. They need to find a full-time role for this guy. Like, he is one of the best separators in the league. If we put together a highlight reel of the 10 best routes run in the NFL, Mitchell would have like 7 of them. I mean, he's just a monster. Wow. So I don't know who they put on the bench for him. But anyways, I know that's neither here nor there for this week. I think Alec Pierce has probably the best matchup one-on-one with Monteric Brown. Whether they're over 3 or man, it doesn't really matter. That's pretty much the same thing for Alec Pierce, and he should beat them.
Not that we're going to do anything with this information.
Yeah,
but right. I'll probably tweet you Sunday. Yeah, we saw it coming. Couldn't do anything about it, but you are, Graham, the Trevor Lawrence Jaguar person. I kind of like, well, maybe Jaguar. I kind of like, exactly. I kind of like Trevor here. I do notice when the data looks pretty good for Trevor Lawrence, he tends to come through.
There's no way you can trust him right now. I mean, I've been pretty upfront about how bad this offense is and just how bad he's playing. Hasn't finished as a top 10 fantasy quarterback in, I think I looked at this morning. I think it's 14 straight games. Like, he's just been a QB2. This is a good spot. The Texans are going to push him, the Colts. I was thinking about last week. The Colts, they're going to push, and their front seven can't get pressure. But man, I just can't get there. I will say this is Brian Thomas week. Yeah. Oh yeah. This is Brian Thomas week, man. Colts are so bad on the outside. Small sample stuff, but Colts obviously play a ton of cover 3, 43% frequency. It's just what Gus Bradley does. And Thomas leads the Jaguars in targets, has 7 for 127 receiving, nearly 4 yards per route run against cover 3 this year. So this is an awesome spot for Thomas. I am concerned.
What's happening?
I real quick, John, I want to get your opinion on this. Like, Evan Ingram will be back this week, and every single time we've seen Peterson have Ingram and Kirk together, like these guys just kind of cannibalize each other. Do you have a read on what this is going to look like? Because I feel good about Thomas in this spot, but I am struggling with Ingram and Kirk this week.
Well, I think it's a long-term problem. I think I love Kirk because he's one of the most predictable receivers in the league. And for the last 3 years, 80% of the time he has a big game. I called it. But, once Ingram's back in the mix, and now with Thomas, because Thomas is commanding way more targets than anybody else before, it's a problem. Probably because, as you said, Trevor Lawrence there's not a ton of production to go around. Freaking Trevor Lawrence is probably averaging 179 yards passing in his 12 last damn games, right? So
it's a little bit better than that, but it's not much better than that. You're
214. Right. I'm sorry, 214. Yeah. I did like Kirk a lot this year. I mean, he's been great the last 2 weeks, but not this week. I mean, we might have a little bit of a long-term problem. My dog is Wrigley. Calm down, man.
Well, Wrigley doesn't like T-Law either. I mean, I can't blame him, honestly. Cannot blame
Wrigley,
him.
should I start Kirk this week? Bark once.
There it is.
Did you hear it? I once did that real quick, not to go off on a tangent. One time live on SiriusXM, Friday morning, like 9 a.m. Eastern, peak drive time, peak time. We're talking Raiders. Kaplan's dog would not stop barking. So I think it was Redford. So I went, Redford, bark once if I should bench McFadden. And he immediately went, woof. And then sure enough, McFadden shit the bed that week. Real quick, back to the task at hand. Tank Bigsby, ETN Graham, wrap your head around this backfield for us. Like what is going to happen?
Yeah, Bigsby's just a different player. I mean, totally different player than what he was last year. We saw it a little bit in the preseason, and he's just really carried it over. It's not that ETN's like running poorly. It's just I think ETN's always been suited as like a 1A, and he kind of needs a 1B. And this is
100%.
Exactly what the Jags envisioned. I mean, Bigsby's running hot, man. I mean, he's like at the top in missed tackles forced, at the top in yards after contact. I think he's definitely deserving of more touches. I don't think this is a like Rashad White situation though, where like White was just not a good runner. ETN's still pretty good, but like they definitely have a formidable 1-2 punch for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah, dare I say MJD Taylor. I don't know about that, but Miami, New England. I mean, we don't need to spend a ton of time on this one. I mean, Brett, you know the game, personnel, matchups, a lot of stuff relating to pigskin here. Do you find any hope for these guys while Tua's out the next couple of games here? You got Tyreek going to be on Gonzalez. I would imagine the deeper we get into the Tyler Huntley era, the more they can do. But I mean, do you see any hope for these guys?
No. I think Mike McDaniel. I always do that. Mike McDaniel.
I'm doing that lately too. There's too many freaking Irishmen in the league.
Right. He's the most situationally unaware coach in the NFL, and he's a great play designer. And at times he's been a good play caller, but he really just misses the mark when it comes to game management and understanding what's needed on any specific play. If you listen to my podcast First Read, guys, sorry to plug it here, but Joe Marino and I did a deep dive into the Dolphins offense and why Mike McDaniel struggles so much, even when he has Tua. Like they get in the red zone and just completely flake out often. So there's a big issue here. It's fundamentally flawed play calling. I mean, shoot, how many third and
play dependent, play dependent, period.
Right, exactly. He always hunting the big play, never willing to just kind of, just call basic plays.
Chip away at it, dude. Chip away.
Third and 2. How many times do you have to see him throw a bomb for an incomplete pass and then a punt? I can't do that.
Exactly.
You have one of the best running games in the league and you don't use it,
Yep. Graham, man, our bra Ramondre He was on my list again. I didn't beg people to take him, but he was definitely on my list. And we're doing some back patting after week 2, but man, we're falling on hard times. Now he's getting targeted out there. I mean, this is rough. I mean, when we're worried about freaking Antonio Gibson usurping him on the Patriots, I don't even know what else to think at that point. Do you have any commentary?
I do wonder if Mayo's comments this week were just like motivation. I mean, he has lost 4 fumbles, and this is a team that cannot afford any turnovers from their veteran running backs. The big concern to me beyond Gibson cutting in more is this offensive line is just completely falling apart. They're down to their 3rd string left tackle last week. They're going to lose their center, David Andrews, for the season. He's out with a shoulder injury. Like, they're going to continue to lean run heavy, man, but it's bad for Stevenson, that's for sure. I just finished up the start sit video for YouTube. It'll be out tomorrow, and I sadly said you had to sit Stevenson this week. I think that's where we're at with this point. And this game is just an absolute nightmare. I mean, we need Achane or Hill to rip off one of those big plays, because I don't see many avenues for a whole lot of points here.
Yeah. There's one angle, because I'm always looking for it. Brett, I'll run that up the flagpole. Little Hunter Henry action, perhaps.
Yeah. Henry looks
It does
good.
look like a pretty good schematic matchup, and he's a guy that they dust off when the matchup's right. Like, step up, Hunter Henry. I know we've ignored you the last 4 weeks, but we're throwing you 15 balls this week. I mean, I don't know about that, but you think he looks good?
Yeah, I think he looks great. He looked great last year too, actually. Miami, they just lost Jalen Phillips for the season. That's going to be a big hit to their pass rush, and that's been the thing ailing the Patriots most, is that opposing pass rush getting home. One other note too on a Patriots pass catcher, Jalen Polk. I think you guys need to pay attention to him. I know this show is specifically about matchups this week, but moving forward for the rest of the season, he earned a starting job this past week finally. I think 35 routes out of 40 possible, target share up to 21%. I know Stephen O'Rourke, my man, just dropped a video on him. The separation stuff looks really good, though. He's winning on the outside. These aren't sexy wins. He's not crushing post routes over the middle, but he's doing the dirty work that's required to be a starting receiver in the NFL, where none of those guys were. So, like, he's definitely established. There's a reason he earned that starting job, because the tape looks really nice. So I think that's a guy.
He's pretty crafty, crafty, right?
Body control,
pretty subtle.
Point. Yep.
Yeah. Graham, I think we could, I mean, if things go well in New England, we are building up hope for the future with Drake May throwing it to Polk in the second half of the season. Like, right? Let's go.
Yeah, Brett, you just made my best ball Polk bags like super, super happy. I have so much of Polk in like the 14th and 15th round when he was really cheap this summer. Good ball player, man. I've said it in a couple weeks in my column that he's just a really good stash in deep leagues. We just need Drake May, man. We need Drake May.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Hunter Henry, that would be, I think, my tight end pulling out the yin yang of the week.
You've been all over those, John. Like, you have like a 99% hit rate on your skanky tight end calls. So I'm listening.
Yeah, I love skank. Love skank. Yeah, that's always been it's always been my best position. I mean, not to brag or anything, but some of my best career calls have been tight ends. You can go back to Wesley Walls in like 97. He had 10 tutties out of nowhere. But I had Antonio Gates, who was my sleeper of the year in 2004. Jimmy Graham. I literally begged people to take him.
That was the big one.
And who else? Well, again, no one believes me, but I'm telling you, no one was pumping up Travis Kelce more than I was in 2012. But anyways, we move on. Bop, Cleveland Browns at DC Commandos. I do get some of these wrong, of course, some of these tight end evaluations. No one here comes to mind for DC, though. Although Ben Sinnott has been a little slow off the mark.
Yeah. Not even playing, really.
Yeah. I think he had a false start in week 1, and I don't think they put him on the field since then. Yeah.
Well, my big prediction about this, Zach Ertz will be the tight end 9 after week 5. So let's take a look at where is I think he fell this week, because I think last week he was the tight end 9. Oh, he's tight end 10. Anyways, do you, Brett, what do you think about this one here in terms of the matchup? You got a Browns D that they're like freaking Jekyll and Hyde, I think. I think they suck on the road. I guess maybe the pass rush hasn't been dominant. it's a tougher call, but I guess I'm in on McLaurin because they play a lot of man, and McLaurin is the man beater.
Yeah, I mean, this will be Jaden Daniels' biggest test to date, but to your point on the pass rush, they need something opposite of Myles Garrett. It's been really bad. I mean, it reminds me of watching Aiden Hutchinson last year. Where it's like he can win literally every rep, but it doesn't matter because there's no counter pressure anywhere. Quarterbacks have easy escape lanes. They can step up, reset the line of scrimmage. It's tough. So, but this should still be a big challenge for Daniels because he's been kept relatively clean. I know he's getting the ball out super fast, but the emphasis to do that this week with Myles Garrett on the other side will probably be higher than it's even been. On the other side of the ball, I love Jerome Ford in this matchup, guys. Like, this is a huge Ford week for me. Washington allows a positive EPA per run on 54% of rushing snaps, which is by far the worst mark in the league. It's hard to generate positive EPA running the football in today's NFL, and they do it a lot of the time. So they're allowing 5.25 yards per carry. And then also Ford gets 77% of the carry share when they are trailing. And in this game, I expect them to be trailing. I think Washington is a better offensive team, so they get ahead a little bit.
Did we see any positive signs from Watson? There were a couple of dropbacks last week where I could have sworn I saw a glimpse of some vintage Watson extending the play, keeping the downfield focus, anything positive to report on Watson. Because that's important because, I mean, this is a good matchup for freaking Amari Cooper. And you got Njoku coming back this week too.
I mean, the Raiders are such a flawed team right now, mentally especially. Right. There were a couple throws in there from Watson I liked, but like, even go listen to the broadcast and the way our guy Ross Tucker was talking about why he was praising him for finding ways to throw the ball away. I mean, when you're doing that, it's just the whole thing's busted.
Look, that was a great way to throw the ball out. I'm Ross Tucker. That was bad, Ross. Sorry. Hey, Guru. That's all I remember working. Did a radio show with Ross for once a week for a whole football season, and he would always address me, "Hey, Guru." But anywho. Brian Robinson, by the way, Graham, like what happened to him? He popped up on the injury report, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got a knee issue. We'll see. Let's see if he practiced it real quick. Pull it up.
He's been good.
Eckler's coming back from a concussion too. No, Robinson did not practice today, so definitely something to monitor. I mean, my big note in this game is just like, it's an amazing matchup for Watson. Like, their secondary stinks. Their pass rush stinks. The Browns are going to miss 3 of their 5 starting offensive linemen, and they might miss their center this week. Ethan Pochich has an injury, so they might be down to just Bitonio. Like, beyond Watson having a shot arm, like he's getting pressured on nearly 50% of his dropbacks. Like, he has no time back there, and it's definitely a good matchup for him. But I have no trust, absolutely no trust in this passing game.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to come out of left field, but did Diami Brown retire? I know he's got let's see here, 5 grabs. I thought he'd be a little bit more involved, but
they're going with a full rotation. Right now, Noah Brown's at the top.
Noah Brown's playing over him.
Yeah, Noah Brown's a good player, man.
Yeah, got them dreads out there. Let's move on to the Raiders. Speaking of those dudes at the Broncos. Brett, to you, the data, I kind of had the feeling the data says, positive schematic matchup for Bo Nix. I mean, say what you want about Cortland Sutton, but the last couple of years, he's been Mr. Only game in town. You know what I mean? Like, there's something to be said for, like, we got nowhere else to go with the damn football. We're throwing it to freaking Cortland Sutton. So I kind of like Sutton this week, but any thoughts on where Bo Nix is?
Yeah, I like Sutton. I think on our previous shows this summer, I touted Sutton as the guy because his separation score was decent. And, last year, he's also the contested catch monster. Nix played a very good game last week. That was definitely his best game, kind of a coming out party. Ball coming out a little quicker, more in rhythm stuff, not trying to do too much, not pressing. Offensive line also felt like they held up better for him. So, yeah, I like what I see. And like I said already, the Raiders are just in a really weird state as a team right now. You got guys getting benched for taking business decisions. So, yeah, I really like this matchup.
Graham, I saw my guy Schefter today say that I hadn't heard it before, but that Devontae really does have an injury. But what are your thoughts here on Brock Bowers? Because the data says don't play him. Well, not don't play him, but don't expect greatness, I guess. It's a small sample size, of course, but makes sense against man, which Denver runs a lot. But our guy Stephen O'Rourke dug up some nuggets that lead us to believe that Denver, middle of the field, weak. They're giving up. I can totally see Brock. This will be like a 9. He'll have like a Wan'Dale Robinson type of line. Brock Bowers like 9 grabs for like 49 or something. But what do you have on the Raiders?
It'll be amazing to see how fast Adams' hamstring injury gets better as soon as he gets on a plane and gets on the tarmac in Vegas. Like, it's going to heal so fast. Yeah. It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
This is an amazing spot for Brock Bowers. Michael Mayer is out. I think, again, he had a personal issue pop up. That's kind of sneakishly huge. And like, that was one of the biggest things holding Bowers back is he was not a part-time player, but he definitely wasn't like, in the upper echelon of like bell cow tight ends. Last week, Bowers, 77% season high route share. Denver's allowed the 7th most receptions per game to Bowers. He's must start. Brett, what do you think happens with Jacoby Myers? Do you think he catches the shadow from Surtain?
We're currently projecting that on the site, but I mean,
okay.
I don't know. It seems crazy that Denver would value that enough. I think Trey Tucker's probably a better player right now.
Yeah. See, that's why I wanted to ask you. Like, Tucker was 80% out wide last week.
Yeah,
Myers is gonna.
He's a weapon.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a really good player. The more I've been thinking about it, the more I'm leaning your way. Is like Surtain probably just plays sides, and they both see a good bit of him.
Yeah,
I think I'm leaning your way.
Makes sense. You think Tucker? I mean, yeah, Tucker. I said it today, I believe, on Sirius. Like, Tucker is going to be a factor. Like, clearly, they don't have much else, and if Adams is gone, like he's in. He is in, man.
Yeah, of course. He had just an awesome camp too. Like, just was awesome all training camp. I mean, he's looked good in the games I've watched too. Like,
true.
Charting every snap. He's popping off the tape. I think his separation score is very good as well.
Every time I see him, he's running away from somebody.
Insane explosiveness. Yeah, insane explosiveness
all year.
Yep.
All right, let's go to we back with Javonte Graham real quick.
Yeah, I actually do think this is objectively speaking, this is maybe one of the best like layouts Javonte's had in years at home against this defense. Mad Max Crosby's going to miss another game. They put Tyler Bidet.
Get ready. You're setting us up for a bed shitting.
I know, yeah, 18 touches and 36 scrimmage yards without a touchdown. But yeah, Bidet's on IR. Jaleel McLaughlin's been off to a slow start too. Like, this is a pretty good spot for Javonte. If you drafted him and you're not playing him this week, like, you should be playing him.
Raiders run these also awful.
Yeah, so bad.
I just couldn't believe it last week. I'm like, are you kidding me, Javonte? Are you seriously? You're getting the rock and you're getting like 4.8 yards a carry? I'm used to you're getting 2 inches a carry earlier this year. Arizona at San Fran. I personally am sick of Kyler Murray.
Yes.
Just sick of it. Every week, you never know. Seems like a good schematic matchup. Brett, did you agree with me? Are you also sick with Kyler Murray?
I'm sick of it. I mean, he teased this week too. I thought that was going to be the Kyler we got. He's been objectively bad in 3 of the 4 games. So
yeah, he sucks.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. You heard it here first.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is, Graham. I mean, the guy is a dynamic thrower of the football. Obviously, I mean, is it simply he's just too short? That's kind of what I'm thinking. It's like, you know what? Sometimes the most obvious answer is the answer, but maybe he's still watching SpongeBob on his iPad still. I don't even know if people still have iPads.
Yeah, no, Brett was saying, months ago, probably even at the end of last year, Bryce Young is basically the same size as Kyler, but Kyler is an all-world athlete. Yeah. I still think all of that's true. I mean, Kyler's definitely not playing well. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've been skewering him in my write-ups, but like, I don't think this is a very good offense in general. I think Drew Petzig is a really good run game coordinator, but that game plan last week was an absolute joke. To come out and throw it 22 times against Washington, like, you're getting smoked and you're still out there running on early downs. Like,
True.
Listen, Kyler's not playing well. Sure. there's some absolute truth to that, but like he didn't have Trey McBride last week, and that offensive game plan was one of the worst I've seen all year. The good news is like I think the Cardinals are going to get absolutely destroyed in this spot by the Niners, so we're going to have to see Kyler actually like drop back and then try to throw, which is great for McBride and MHJ in this spot, but it's a little bit of both. Like you guys are right, Kyler's not playing that well, but I think this offense just sorely lacks some innovation in the pass game.
I mean, I would like to just can I see a drive, like a 68-yard drive where you run the ball, you throw the ball, you convert several third downs along the way, and you matriculate the ball. Like it's either he's just hits a big play or just running around scramble drill time, and it's just chaos, and it's usually not productive, but it's annoying. It's just annoying. But James Conner, hey, gotta love him. He keeps getting it done. Looks like McBride will return. Brett, maybe an Ayuk. Maybe an Ayuk game here. I mean, Starling Thomas will be up against him a lot. I mean, I don't know. Where are we at with Ayuk?
We've picked on Starling Thomas in the past for sure. He's allowing, 0.39 fantasy points per coverage snap right now, which is a lot. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, Ayuk looks great on tape. I don't know what the reluctance is. I was listening to actually Matthew Barrows, one of the beat writers there that we were talking to using fantasy points data. He just told me basically like they're just never going to go out of their way to scheme it up for Ayuk, which is such a shame because he's so freaking good. So like their concepts are their concepts, and Purdy just works the progressions as called. And if there's a game where he's the one in those, then he's going to have a lot of yards. And if he's not, then it is what it is, man. Let it ride. So I don't know. This is a great matchup for him though. So
he's a great buy low still. I mean the ass has been great. By XFP, he's a really good buy low. It's interesting though to hear that, Brett, because last year Ayuk, I mean, he led the team in first read targets. It kind of seemed like that was the trend, right? Like Ayuk was going to take over as the one. So what do we think has changed?
Look at Jennings. Jennings, man, is bowling. Like it's that, Brett. That's got to be a big part of it. Jennings is freaking he's commanding the ball. Dare I say? I know it's a strong statement.
Yeah, we always talk about it. Targets are earned. He's definitely earning some targets right now. It's almost like they just have too many good players. That's what it comes down to.
And Ricky's getting ready to return.
A week or two, yeah.
Do you think Ricky just constantly has many men by 50 Cent just like blasting behind him at all times? Like that's what I imagine. He just walks around with a boombox. He's got that blasting. It'd be badass. Sorry.
He has a shin tattoo.
I wish I knew that reference. I know 50 Cent. Did you say 50 Cent?
Yeah. Listen to Mini Men after the show.
Mini Men. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Not up on my.
I wouldn't listen to it with your kids
in the club or whatever.
I wouldn't listen to it with your kids though, John. I don't think that's a.
No, my kids have listened to. They listen to Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, then never mind. We're good. If they're with Odd Future, then we're good.
Yeah, we are good. I don't know if they're good, but
fair.
Yeah, we move on. Green Bay at LA Rams. Man, how about my guy Jordan Love? Man, I was worried, but. Graham, I'll go to you. Maybe I'm getting a little overly excited, but I'm like looking around. I'm like, Jordan Love might be the QB1 this year. I mean, that might happen. What do you think?
If he ran more, he'd have a chance. I think he's going to be sequestered to like QB5 because Lamar and Allen and now Daniels, like those guys are just racking up so many points on the ground. But you're right. I mean, Love is balling, QB11 and QB2 to start the season. Obviously had a little bit of gunslinger in him in that last game, but I loved it. Obviously a little bit of a jailbreak game script. Vikings got up big and they just chucked. Guys, I love Dontavian Wicks. Liked him coming into the season, drafted him a ton. This is his week here. I mean, I could not imagine a better spot than Rams secondary as his first draw, his first start without Christian Watson. But led the Packers last year in ass, led them in yards per route run as a rookie. This year, he's 15th best by ass among all receivers. Immediately got 31% of the first reads last week. Like I'm teeing up Wicks as like almost must start. Like Jaden Reed is must start at this point. But I think Love playing so well. To your point, John, this being such a good matchup. Like I think Wicks is pretty damn close to must start this week too. Like he's just a really good player, and this role is going to be awesome.
Yeah, and also Graham, per some of our data notes, they have given up the second fewest fantasy points per game to the slot. So maybe not wonderful for Jaden Reed. And then Romeo Dobbs sees a 32% reduction against single high, which the Rams play a lot. So yeah, that's probably a good call. Like that's probably going to happen, Brett. Dontavian Wicks is probably going for 100 in this one.
He'll go for 100 and he'll still drop a 40-yard bomb too.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
dude. I have so much Wicks, and I've already thought about the drops. I know. What is it? Just concentration
funny?
for him?
Yeah.
Kind of. He had a drop rate of nearly 50% his last year in college. That's why that's where he fell so far.
Yeah.
In the draft.
Right. He was not that great at the Senior Bowl that I recall, Brett. Do you? I think I remember being all right, but
Yeah, so in one-on-ones he caught a couple bombs, but as far as like the short nuance type stuff, he was not having days. He's getting locked up in the line of scrimmage. So
yeah. I mean, Jaden Reed though, he was crushing. Jaden Reed was absolutely freaking crushing.
They built their entire wide receiver core off Senior Bowl guys, every single one of them.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. Boppity bop. I lost my place. I mean, Kyron Williams, I keep doubting his ability to keep this going, and he keeps doing it. They're feeding him the rock as much as they can. By the way, I do think that Josh Jacobs, probably looking good in this one.
Yeah, that's what I want.
We talked
Josh Jacobs game for me.
Yeah,
he's gonna crush. The Rams are the worst defense in the league against duo and outside zone. That's what the Packers run: duo and outside zone. They're going to pound the ball with Jacobs, in my opinion. I think this is going to be a massive Jacobs game, especially because they should have the lead too. Second half of games, it's just all Josh Jacobs all the time. So
yeah, Jacobs weirdly does not have a touchdown yet this week or this season, and he is going to probably score 2 in this game. I mean, it's a really good spot to your point.
One of my points on Love all summer was they don't run for touchdowns. They have 0 running back touchdowns. They have 2 rushing touchdowns, Malik Willis and Jaden Reed. So,
true.
Maybe
That'll
this
rest
week.
some, but yeah.
Yeah. Right. Moving to Giants Seahawks. I don't think we're getting Malik Neighbors.
Nope.
So I think they're just gonna have to. Danny Dimes probably won't throw for 200, and it'll be Wandale and Slayton. I mean, they're gonna get Graham. Don't you think Wandale and Slayton are gonna total 20 targets?
Yeah, well, Wandale might get 20 targets by himself. He's been just a massive PPR scam this year, just an absolute scam receiver.
Absolute scam.
But he's going to get the ball, that's for sure. Play him in PPR this week. It's a brutally tough matchup, though. Devon Witherspoon is awesome. Seattle, by scheme, is not giving up anything to slot receivers. In fact, a league low in yards per route run to slot receivers. So, the ball will come Wandale's way, but I'm not exactly excited to play him. I just think Giants are in a really bad spot here. Obviously this entire pass offense is just predicated on Neighbors doing Neighbors things.
Yeah.
And they just, Daniel Jones had Neighbors open 3 times last week, Brett, for 20+ yard massive plays, and he just couldn't get the ball there. What's he gonna do this week without Neighbors?
It's gross. Yeah. That's what it is. It's gross.
Yeah. Seattle's defensive line is really beat up. Leonard Williams is one of the best interior linemen in the game. Hopefully they'll get him back this week, but it is good news.
So Singletary.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I guess it is good news that Seattle's defensive line's a little beat up, but
they're also coming off of a Monday night loss in which their opposing quarterback went 18 for 18. So
who was that again, Brett? What team was that?
Oh, that was the Detroit Lions.
Okay. I just making sure.
Jared Goff. I think that Jared Goff chant though has in fact jumped the shark. Just one man's opinion.
Well, you earned it last week, that's for sure.
Yeah. Cowboys at Steelers. Brett, something's got to give here. Cowboys, they did fix up their run D. Mike Zimmer was up all week stating that he would literally give up anything to anyone as long as it wasn't the running the rock. They're not getting run on. There's that's it. Yeah. But Neighbors went off. Yet the Steelers are it's pathetic. I mean, once again, they had to put the guard on IR, but maybe they get Sayamalo. What breaks here? I mean, Fields playing well, but I don't know about this matchup. Pickens probably going to see a lot of digs. You could travel digs if Pickens starts going off. What do you think about Pittsburgh's offense here?
Congrats on stopping Devin Singletary. That's a huge accomplishment, Mike. You're an amazing defensive coordinator.
Am I right though?
Well, yeah, they did. They sold out to stop the run, and
Daniel Jones threw for 280, and he couldn't complete the ball to save his life. So.
Right. So,
exactly. That was so aggravating to watch. That was fake. That was fake right there. That's fake stuff right there. Whatever. Most of Daniel's stuff was fake last week.
I love Justin Fields in this matchup. Actually, he is balling right now.
He is.
First of all, Dallas is down Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. That is
true. That'll help.
Defense. That defense falls quickly. Trayvon Diggs is not a shadow corner. I mean, he isn't. Right. He is literally a sieve. He takes a lot of chances. I think Pickens and Fields just ball out. Fields is doing it in the run game too. I honestly love Fields in this game. He is turned a corner as far as accuracy and the way he's delivering the football downfield. I mean, and him and Pickens just have this connection. I think I said it on your show Wednesday, John. It reminds me of early stage Rodgers, Devontae Adams,
which is just wow.
Yeah. I mean, they have hand signals at the line. Fields will give him a little signal, and Pickens knows that's a back shoulder ball coming right at him. The chemistry is developing. I think this is Fields' team for sure. I don't think Russ is ever going to get to sniff the starting lineup here. And I love this matchup for him. I think this is going to be awesome.
All right. Well, Fields does tip us off as to how he's feeling with his body language. I'm telling you, because it is so it's night and day compared to Chicago.
I think Justin Fields is like borderline must start.
Right.
57% charted highly accurate throw rate. That's the third best behind only Dalton and Tagovailoa. I mean, those guys are just, pocket passers. We started to see it last year. Like last year when DJ Moore had Justin Fields, he was the wide receiver 3 in fantasy. Only CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson averaged more fantasy points per game. So like you can't do that if you're not trending up as a passer. And this has been the full culmination now, with this offense. John, I know Najee has been like a thorn in our side for 2 years, but he is going to get every touch and target. We'll note, just real quick, Cordarrelle Patterson's probably going to miss this game. Jaylen Warren has no chance of playing. So It's been gross if you have Najee, but no Dexter or DeMarcus Lawrence, no Micah Parsons.
Oh, I know.
It's a good spot for Najee.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah,
it's got to be. Brett, hold on. I had a damn good question. Oh, here it is. Better quarterback in 2024, Jalen Hurts or Justin Fields?
Justin Fields. And listen, guys,
close, right?
I'm the biggest Justin Fields hater on the face of the earth.
You are.
What I have to realize is you cannot underestimate how bad of an organization the Chicago Bears are. And they ruined that man, and I feel bad for him. And I think Pittsburgh has brought him back to life, and he's ready to ride.
Yeah. Will Dak Prescott be ready to ride? I mean, it's a little scary matchup here. Their corners are tough on the outside. I guess they can. Lamb can avoid him a little bit. But what do you thought? I mean, I don't know, man. We're rolling with Rico Dowdle. I guess. I thought Zeke had a couple good runs last week, but what do I know? I guess they're burying him. But what do you think of Dallas's offense here, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, Lamb, you nailed it. They can hide him. They can get him ISO'd wherever they kind of want. They move him around, motion, all that. So not too concerned with that. Chicago's, they're giving up a lot in the run game. Like their yards before contact per carry allowed is insane. It's like 2.33. Their pressure rate is decent, but opposing quarterbacks on average are holding the ball pretty long against them, especially the last 3 weeks. So I don't know. It's kind of I feel like Dallas, they're just going to throw the ball well, and I think they'll struggle to run the ball. I think it comes down to that. It's pretty simple every week. They'll find ways to get Lamb involved. I think Jalen Tolbert also looks pretty good. I know. Is Brandon Cooks missing this game?
Yeah,
he's out.
Infection. Yeah, he had some sort of scope where his knee got infected, so he's going to miss this week.
Okay. Yeah, so I that's just even more for Jalen Tolbert there. So
yeah. Nice. Yeah, I kind of had the same thought. Pittsburgh's front seven's playing really good against the run. Dallas is just not even really trying to run in most games. So, like, even if this is a bad spot for Dak, like, the volume is so good now. And, when I was writing about Dallas this offseason, I was like, Dallas is, first in pass rate over expectation, but, like, the volume wasn't there because their defense was so good. They just, like, didn't give up any points. So they didn't have, like, a ton of games where, Dak had to sling it. And that's completely changed now. Dak is... Right now, I think he's on pace for a career high in pass attempts by like a landslide. So, the volume will continue to be strong here.
I just realized I pulled a John and it was citing Chicago.
You did.
Stats. Yeah.
You did.
Yeah, I just realized.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Oh,
just
yeah.
not play for the Chicago Bears anymore.
Do you know why I did?
It's forgivable. We're in week 5, Brett. All these matchups are running together a little bit,
But no, I literally see that Bear logo, and it's so sad and depressing just in general because it's been 30 years that I think of Fields. Like, I've equated it with Fields.
It's funny because you really just said John, and then I did it right here. That is so funny.
Yeah, I know. But you know why I did it? Because my sister-in-law texted me a clip of Gronk. I don't know if Gronk got punked on Fox.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
I didn't see that one.
Hilarious.
That's like your biggest nightmare. I guess he fell asleep in a meeting, and then they were doing a rehearsal, like their first segment, because I did that too. We used to rehearse our first segment before we went live on the air on DirecTV, and apparently he fell asleep. So they were doing rehearsal, and they made him believe it was live. But then Glazer brings up a fake player, and they start talking, and Gronk's like, "Oh,
they tossed Gronk."
Yeah,
they toss him like, "Oh, what do you think of so and so?" And so Gronk just starts making stuff up.
That's cruel. Yeah. That is cruel. In broadcasting, it's great because it didn't happen live, but then they released the tape. So that is kind of cruel. But anyway, Gronk doesn't care. Saints, Chiefs. I mean, KC's in trouble.
They stink.
Again.
Mm-hmm.
They stink.
Their offense stinks. It has stunk for like 2 years, by the way.
Exactly.
Yep.
I blame Matt. I think Matt Nagy has a lot to do with it. What do I know? What do I know? I just think the cronyism. I was complaining about that, but why do they stink? Can you pinpoint, why they stink?
No, I guess not, because we thought it was the receiver issue. Then they have Rice and Worthy, and even with Rice, they stunk. And Worthy should have been the man beater, Rice the zone beater. They still have Kelsey. They had a pretty good run game with Pacheco, and they still stunk. So I don't know. I don't really know. It's got to be a play calling, play design issue at this point.
I blame Nagy. It's very convenient. I don't even think it's a scapegoat. What about this matchup? Like, in theory, Mahomes against a team that they still play a lot of man. But, man, it seems like Alontae Taylor, Marshawn Lattimore, and Paulson Adebo are playing pretty damn well, Brett.
Yeah, Alontae Taylor is one of my favorite defensive backs in the league. That dude is all over the place every single game. And I love how versatile he is. He can play on the outside. He can play in the slot. He can kick back, play safety. Just a phenomenal player. Paulson Adebo, again, as well. Ball skills for days. I mean, the Saints always have a good secondary, right? And they just keep retooling it with new guys.
What do you see here in this game, Graham?
Yeah, I think it's time to stream for Mahomes. We're now looking at, since the middle of last year, where Mahomes has finished outside of the top 10 fantasy quarterbacks in 11 of his last 12 games. Rice is out. RIP to my guy. They're probably not going to get Hollywood at any point this year. It seems like his shoulder issue is just massively messed up. Man, it's brutal.
Kelsey's going to have to up the snap count.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to have to. And we saw that last week. He became immediately more involved when Rice came out. So if there's one positive for fantasy, like the fantasy landscape at tight end, it's, Kelsey losing Rashee Rice just means he's the number one wide receiver once again there. But my note for this game, really my only good note for this game, is that we saw some kind of, changed up usage for Rashid Shaheed last week. He's no longer just a deep threat. He's getting legitimate usage over the middle of the field, design targets in the shallow area, and that's really going to help him long-term in fantasy. And it's really going to help him this week. Chiefs obviously play a ton of too high coverage, and we need Shaheed involved underneath as much as we can. So, even though this is like an on-paper tough matchup, with Chiefs just not giving up any tough, big plays, I think you go right back to Shaheed as a really good wide receiver too in this spot.
They still play a lot of man though, Brett, don't they? Casey,
yeah, they change it up. Yeah, they change it up. Trent McDuffie's playing well.
Yeah. I mean, he's awesome.
Yeah, Spags will switch it up. He has a lot of like exotic line of scrimmage packages sometimes that requires him to play more man than others, but it's kind of hard to predict what they're going to do.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up here and stay tuned all week for the rest of the content here. Great stuff rolling with the data. Now we have 4 weeks of data. So thank you for checking us out. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff on YouTube. I'm terrible at reminding people of that, although people probably appreciate that. Thanks to our friend Tommy T-Bone on the other side of the glass. For Brett Whitefield and Graham Barfield, I'm John Hansen Field, and we'll catch you next week here on Matchup Points at FantasyPoints.com.
What?
Why are you shaking your head?
You're welcome.